Hi, everyone. This is Coach Taryn here, and I am just dropping on to the Complete Performance coaching page to talk a little bit about something that has come up a lot in some of my one-on-ones with athletes that I've been working with. Just knowing that as we approach the new year, I know many of our gymnasts are going to have upcoming meets. I know that the hope is that some sport seasons resume as COVID gets more under control. And so one of the things that I like to talk about is the difference between approaching a competitive environment as either a pressure or something that's putting pressure on yourself, or as a challenge. And the way that I like to think about this is that thinking about or putting pressure on yourself, whether it's coming from you internally, or maybe that pressure is coming from the environment, coaches, parents, or other people who are involved in that athlete's competitive life. And when we focus on the pressure, when we focus on feeling like I have to do well, I need to win, I should be able to be better than everybody else, then it's like this weight that's coming from above, comes from up on top of our head, and it pushes us down and it squishes us. It makes us feel like we are performing with a whole bunch of added or extra weight on our shoulders. And usually what happens is it results in poor or not so great performance, because all of a sudden, think about trying to do a series on the beam or a double axel on the ice with added weight on your shoulders. All of a sudden, things aren't working well. You're not performing the way that you do every day in practice. And as we often hear, athletes falter under pressure. The other way that we might think about approaching a meet, a competition, is to think about it as a challenge. I sometimes like to encourage my athletes to not even use the word competition or a meet, to think about it as a performance, to think about it as a challenge, to think about it as something exciting. And maybe even changing the language plays a really big role in how we think about or how we perceive something. So, for example, if you know that you have a meet coming up, think about it as this exciting challenge that's before you, something you get to rise to the occasion of. And so when I think about approaching a meet, a competition as a challenge, all of a sudden it feels like the reverse of pressure. It feels like something that's coming from beneath, and it's kind of lifting or boosting you up, making you feel powerful, strong, empowered, making you feel like, hey, I've got this. And so the language that we use, the way we think about it, the mindset, we know plays a really big role. So one of the things, as you think ahead to some of the meets, the competitions, the upcoming performances that might be on your schedule as an athlete, or your athlete's schedule if you're a parent or a coach, is maybe think about, how do I talk to my athlete about this? Can I think about it more as a challenge, more as something that's exciting, using language around that versus I have to, I need to, I should be better than everyone else. Thinking about it as this pressure. When we think about the challenge or the excitement part of it, I like to think about an athlete using language like, I want to get out there and do this. I'm excited to get out there and do this. I'm ready to get out there and do this. Language that feels more positive, it feels more encouraging, empowering, lifting someone up rather than squashing them down. So, as you think about this upcoming season, as you think ahead to the exciting start of 2021 and the new opportunities it brings, think about rising to the challenge. Think about approaching, and this doesn't even have to be for competition. Think about it for practice as well. When you are asked to do something difficult, when you're working on hard skills, when you're pushing through those long practices, think about it as a challenge rather than something that I have to do or I should be doing this perfectly, right? We know there's no such thing as perfection. We know there's going to be mistakes. So can you think about it as this exciting challenge that, hey, I get to work through this. I get to rise above it. I get to test my limits. I get to see what I'm capable of. And for a lot of athletes, I think that can be a much more exciting and a really effective way of thinking about approaching all of the things that they get to do as an athlete, the meets, the competitions, the long practices, the performances, being able to see them as challenges that they get to be excited about rather than something that feels like a stressful pressure environment that they have to not make any mistakes, that they have to be perfect in. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a safe and happy new year, and I look forward to working with many of you and popping on here in 2021. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'm Coach Taryn with Complete Performance Coaching. Have a great one.